The Operation Zero Crime has arrested 5 individuals suspected of printing counterfeit monies. The Gambian leader is expected to attend the 59th ECOWAS Heads of State and Government Summit on Friday. And Justice Ministry is geared towards drafting a rent control bill to cope surge in rental fees. These and more coming on Gambia 24. Stay with us. Good evening, viewers. You're watching Gambia 24 here on Africa TV with me, Sohna Tunkara, and now to our news in detail. As part of efforts to maintain peace in the country, the Operation Zero Crime led by the Gambian Police Force has arrested 5 individuals suspected of printing counterfeit monies. About $57,800 printouts were confiscated and sent to the Central Bank of the Gambia for examination. Traditionally, counterfeits are made by offset printing using heavy machinery in order to further the criminal cause. The right kind of ink is also needed, as well as expert production of printing plates. However, the production of the right paper, size and texture is almost unachievable anytime money comes from a place which is thought to be legitimate when it is otherwise. The crime of counterfeiting is bookable by the police. And in order to cope this menace, the Gambia Police Force has been on busy surveillance on people suspected of counterfeit crimes. According to the police public relations officer, Superintendent Lamin Jai, 5 suspects are already helping the police in their investigation process.
They call this a black paper, or they call it black money, meaning it is an unprocessed money. So you need to process this to be a genuine money. So this is a trick that they use. Actually, this is a mere paper that they themselves blackened to this color. So what they will do is they will tell you that they have this. Obviously, their story has changed from Libya to the Gambia. They say this was what Yahya Jammeh brought, and this was what he's been using to make money. And during the impasse, some of them were able to get hold of this. Usually, the old story was that it was during the time of war in Libya that some of them were able to get this. So they will tell you this, we have this. But in order to be able to process it, you need to buy certain chemicals. And those chemicals are very expensive. Of course, they are smart because you will ask them, why can't you produce it yourself? But they cannot produce it themselves. That's the story they will tell you, because you need to get chemicals to be able to process this. And those chemicals are very expensive. So they will charge you to for example, let's say $350,000 for a start to purchase that chemical. Once you give them the $350,000, they will invite you, claiming their body, the chemical. So they will use this machine or this equipment. Actually, it's not a machine because it is locally made. They will load this with money prior to your coming. So once you come, they will take this money, this black paper. They will insert the black paper here on this hood. And then they will press this red button here. And once they press this button, money will come out of this other hood.
Police have arrested 5 people suspected of counterfeit. Now, offloading of the cargo of Japanese rice shipment to the Gambia began on Monday for onwards distribution to various sales points across the country. The Gambia government announced in May that more than 3,000 metric tons from Japan will be commercialized. Proceeds from the sales of the rice will then be plugged back to the agricultural sector. According to the agreement between the two countries, here is an excerpt by Abba Jibril Sankari, focal person for the Japan-Gambia project.
The most recent one is they call it the underprivileged, project, KR2 underprivileged farmers project for the underprivileged farmers. I could remember the overall cost of that project was about 100 and something million. So those those, if you could remember last year, equipments we are bought, fertilizers we are bought, so many things we are bought through that project. So last week, 50 tractors we are also bought from the same proceed, from the state KR proceed.
The 50 tractors that the government launched to the farmers?
Yes, that was inaugurated by the government of the Gambia. Because as you can see, you people, we are covering it. You can see the Japanese ambassador addressing online. And you can hear the president expressing their appreciation to the people of Japan. So this is how this project works. Any proceed, we apply it back to the Gambian people.
What is likely to be the next project to be written as a result of proceed from the rice?
Well, it depends on what we need as far as Gambian farmers are concerned. The Ministry of Agriculture will also go, and there's a team. They will sit and look at, what is the most pressing need. One thing I can tell you, I remember I made that proposal to our former APS that we need to build warehouses from this KR2, across the region. Even 2 warehouses at central level here, so that whenever this consignment comes, we will not have the issue of, a warehouse. I propose that to our APS.
Does it have a deadline? When is it likely to be executed or approved? Or?
No, I don't think. As the moment everything is completed here, the Japanese will need, statement from the government of the Gambia concerning the consignment, and then they will tell them how much is deposited in the account. Then when they are satisfied with everything, then the government of the Gambia can think of any bankable project, and then come up with the proposal, share it, with the experts, on the ground, and then later through the foreign affairs, because this thing, as I mentioned, it always goes through the foreign affairs ministry.
Now to matters of the presidency. President Barrow will attend the 59th ECOWAS Heads of States and Government Summit on Friday at 12 noon. The Accra Summit will avail the leaders to deliberate on pertinent issues threatening the peace and stability of West Africa sub-region and find solutions to them. The summit will be attended by 15 heads of state in West Africa, except Mali, which has been suspended from the regional bloc following the recent political unrest there. And Goodluck Jonathan, ECOWAS special convoy mediating the Mali political crisis, will present a report on his recent visit to the West African country after the emergency ECOWAS summit held in Accra on May 30th, 2021. A communique will then be issued at the end of the summit to highlight key decisions reached during the deliberations. From that, rentals in the Gambia have been a challenge for many tenants, especially those living in the greater Banjul areas. Appearing before lawmakers in Banjul on Wednesday, the Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, who represented the Justice Minister, said plans are underway to draft a rent control bill rather to make rentals affordable for less privileged people in the country. Daisise has the latest.
Access to standard and affordable houses in the Gambia has been a concern for many, as rental fees continue to surge, especially in the greater Banjul areas. Most of the tenants revealed that they find it difficult to offer the amount charged by landlords. During the National Assembly's second ordinary session on Wednesday, the National Assembly member for Banjul North, Usman Silla, said the cost of house rent is suffocating many people in the Gambia. The Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Ibrahim Silla, who represented the Attorney General, was asked if the government has any plans to address the issue. In response, Minister Silla said the government is working towards addressing the problem.
Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Justice is equally concerned with the issue of the hike in house rents. The issue of rent is a cross-cutting social and economic issue. As such, we believe there has to be broad consultation with key government ministries, such as the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Lands and Local Government. The Ministry of Justice will consult these key stakeholders and come up with recommendations to Cabinet that would potentially lead to the preparation of a rent control bill.
Ibrahim Asila said these processes cannot be carried out in isolation, raising the need to engage landlords and local government officials. Lawmaker Silla suggested that the government should come up with incentives to enable landlords to offer their houses at a very reasonable price, as well as reducing high tax payment. Minister Silla responded that citizens are first priority of the government.
A tax framework on rented properties that reach certain amounts. Just recently I had the GRA on the media, actually, different radios and TV stations, sensitizing landlords and ladies about their rent, their tax obligations collected on rent. But let me say in general and in broad terms, anything that will ease the conditions of the people of this country, that is the priority of the government of the Gambia, and that's what we are working towards on.
Chibirin Jilan is one of the tenants who spends over $6,000 on rent per month. This, he said, is a very big challenge for him and most of the ordinary citizens, as they earn less than $4,000 per month.
Face a lot of pain on it because
we are all facing the difficulty of rent because landlords now are taking things for granted. Some of them who built their compound within 3 years are charging people to pay 2 rooms and parlor for $5,000 each, which is not fair. And also this agent stuff is also another reason why rents are expensive. And here in the Gambia, we all know that to earn $5,000 per month is very difficult because you have a family, you need to give lunch to children when going to school, and also you need to provide feeding for the family. This is very difficult on us.
Despite the availability of rent tribunals, landlords and tenants continue to face issues. As a result, much is needed from the government to address the challenges. The National Assembly member for Tumana also suggested that if there are laws regulating rent in the Gambia, there is no need for a new bill, recommending the amendment of those laws. The recent hike of rents in the Gambia has led to many calling on the government to step in and find measures to reduce the skyrocketing high rate, especially for less privileged. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DCC.
Gambia's Justice Minister is geared towards drafting a rent control bill to cope surge in rental fees. From that story, we will now go with a short commercial break and the news continues. Don't go away.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back. You're still watching Gambia 24, and now to our remaining stories. The management of Gamtel has given cash and other valuable provisions to Bajakunda villagers to appease them after one of its antennas collapsed, causing injuries and damage to houses. The alcalde of the village expressed content with the assistance given to them. Both called for more support as the affected community is mainly impoverished. Omar Ahmad Toure files in this report.
The tragic incident left one currently hospitalized with serious injury. Many others sustained minor injuries, while some houses also collapsed. The Gamtel management in the Upper River region has to provide aid to these victims to help them recover from the shock. Lamin Alfuseni Tunkara is the Deputy Managing Director of Gamtel.
There are two families that are affected. The Sane family and the Conde family. You know, there were some injuries, not that serious, according to the information that we received. So we thought to come in and present them with something to help themselves. Each family received 10 bags of rice, 4 bags of onions, and 4 gallons of oil, as you can see. And what we also did was, like I said, $20,000 for each family, 20,000 each. And what we are going to do is there's another victim who is at the hospital right now as we speak. From here, we will go over there to visit him and see his condition. And we've also put aside $10,000 to give it to the person at the hospital. From here right now, what we will do is we will go inside the compound because we understand that there are people there that have suffered some minor injuries. We're going to go inside the compound and see them.
According to Deputy Director Tunkara, Gamtel will send its surveying team to the village to assess the damage done on the houses as the rainy season has already begun.
Now what we will do also is to assess the destruction, what was destroyed. We'll assess it, and in the coming days we'll send our civil works team to come in and do some inspection to see how can we be able to reconstruct the houses or the rooms that fell because of these antennas.
So the Alcalo of Bajakunda says they are pleased with the gesture accorded to them by the Deputy Managing Director and the team, but lobbied for more assistance as the community affected are mainly impoverished.
We are grateful to Allah and we welcome the visitors. We are pleased in receiving them, but the disaster that struck us, let them understand we share the grief. It has affected us, but it affected them too. And that is why we converge here. Thanks to Allah for the assistance they brought, and we are grateful for it. What is left now is to make more supplications and let them help us because we are poor people and we still seek for their support. Thank you all.
This incident happened last Thursday night, and according to Lamin Alfuseni Tunkara, the said antenna belonging to Gamtel also runs services for Comium, QCell and Afisel in the area. He says officials may consider relocating the antenna to another location if it poses danger to people, but this, he says, will be done in consultation with the villagers. Reporting for iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadu Toure.
The management of Gamtel extends support to victims affected by the collapse of its antenna in Bajakunda. Now, Amina Saho Sise has been sworn in as the judge of the Court of Appeal at a ceremony held at State House on Wednesday. The swearing-in followed her appointment by President Barrow after she was recommended by Judicial Service Commission earlier this month. Details of that in this report.
I, Justice Amina Saho Sise, having been appointed as Justice of the Gambia Court of Appeal.
Amina Saho Sise takes oath of office as the judge at the High Court of Appeal and is expected to take her share of reshaping the system, once dominated by foreigners during Yaya Jammeh regime. As part of the coalition campaign promise which was headed by President Barrow in 2016 before its fallout, reforming the Gambian justice system was one of their key priorities. President Barrow, whilst congratulating Honorable Saho Sise, sent a reminder note of fulfilling the expected mandate.
It is certainly not by dint of luck, but the virtue of hard work, talent and experience and toss that the Honorable Justice Saho Sise was recommended by the Judicial Service Commission for appointment as Justice of the Court of Appeal. In view of her track record, I granted approval without hesitation, confident that it was a decision very well made. While I warmly congratulate her and her family on this meritorious elevation to the Gambia Court of Appeal as Justice of the Court, I trust that her presence will entrench the work ethics of the legal profession in the country and further solidified the jurisprudence of the Court of Appeal.
Gone were the days when the judicial system of the Gambia was highly polluted due to derogative commands by the then tyrant leader. The COVID-19 pandemic has also made rulings difficult for judges, as the judiciary had to strictly apply the measures put in place by the government to fight the deadly virus.
It is also fitting on this occasion to acknowledge with appreciation the improvements recorded by the judiciary as regards the disposal of cases. The innovative approaches adopted as a result of circumstances imposed upon us by COVID-19 pandemic make the achievements even more appreciable. I encourage the personnel within the judicial system to continue to be guided by the principles of independence, impartiality and objectivity in the decisions they make, and in upholding and safeguarding the rule of law.
The security sector reform was also part of the campaign promises by the Gambian leader. However, the frequent publication of heinous crimes-related activities parading across the country made critics question the level of progress by the Barrow-led government. These crimes are boiling eminently at the courts, leading to congestion at various prison centers.
Turning to a developing trend, I must state with honesty that the current security situation in the Gambia is of great concern to government. But I believe that it is equally troubling to the judiciary. As a result of this, the congestion of the prison remand wings and other shortcomings in our criminal justice system that can hinder our response capability to the rising crime rate need to be examined urgently, and appropriate solutions sought and administered.
Her appointment, according to President Barrow, is fulfilling the solemn promise he made as government in making the judiciary very Gambian. Mrs. Saho Sissa's career with the judiciary started in 2004 and has since served as magistrate, master of the High Court judge, and a law lecturer at the University of the Gambia. As a public officer like many other Gambians, she was also subjected to Yaya Jammeh's disregard for human rights. The top Gambian judge was also arrested with other members of the bench during Dictator Jammeh's rule and accused of corruption. Reporting for iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadu Toure.
Well, that is all from me and the rest of the crew on Gambia 24. You can stay tuned to watch more of our interesting programs. I am Sohna Tunkara. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and bye for now.